Hey there, and welcome to this episode of the show where I am talking to you all about creatine. Now, creatine is one of the most tested supplements in the health and fitness industry. We're not even going to count protein, because if you think protein is a supplement, then you have to think that cheese is a supplement, of which it is not. In many people's intelligent view, cheese is not a supplement. But hey ho, some people are crazy. Maybe for them, a little bit of Gouda is a little bit of a post-workout supplement. Who knows? But those people to one side, we are talking about creatine. Creatine being that supplement that kind of everybody thinks about trying at some point or another. Some people don't really know what it does. Some people don't know if it's for them, if it's for their goal, if it's worth having. Should you cycle it? If you're a female, should you have it? All of these different sort of questions kind of crop up. So let's get right through all of those questions, answering them all for you one by one, so you have everything you need to know about creatine supplementation. Now, as I said before, it's one of the most heavily tested supplements you can find. So therefore, there's some pretty good research around the whole topic of creatine that we can rely on to create good, honest, accurate assumptions about what it does for us. Now, there are a number of different benefits to having creatine within your diet. Firstly, it's a natural product. Some people outside of the fitness industry think it's fucking like steroids, but it is in no way, shape, or form anything like that. It's perfectly fine for you to take. Creatine is actually naturally occurring in your body anyway. You're just adding more to that system. Now, supplementing with creatine is going to help in terms of strength. It's going to in terms of power, sprinting, if that's kind of your thing. So if you think about it in the context of the gym, if you've got more strength, you've got more power, then you can lift more. If you can lift more, maybe do a few extra reps, maybe do a slightly heavier weight, then you are creating more training volume. You are forcing your body into a higher degree of training stimulus, which then creates the opportunity, if your nutrition is right, for you to then make adaptations to that training so that you build more muscle. Now, if we then kind of boil that down to males and females, so the guy, he wants to build perfect pecs, bulging biceps, all of that sort of stuff. So naturally, that guy wants to build muscle. Now, even if you're a guy who comes along and says, I just don't want to get too bulky, I don't want to get ridiculously big. Now, firstly, it's going to take you about 15 years to get ridiculously big. And it's not going to happen overnight. So you're not going to wake up, like I've said before many times on many different podcasts, you're not going to wake up overnight suddenly with a physique that is quote unquote too big. It's just not going to fucking happen like that. You are not going to wake up and suddenly you've got delts the size of cannonballs, you've got chests popping out of your fucking t-shirt. It's not going to happen. So really focus on building as much muscle as you can. And don't worry about getting too big, too bulky. This is not going to happen. So really, wherever you are on that spectrum of a newbie right through to advanced, you're going to want to build as much muscle as possible. And then you just decide at what point you want to kind of dial that back and just maintain, or if you just want to keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. So regardless of where you sit on that spectrum, creatine is going to help you lift more. It's going to help you train better, train harder. So it's likely to be a good supplement for you to take. Now let's then flip over to the females. So females, you probably, again, I'm just making a wild assumption here, is that you want to build muscle too. Now you obviously have the same sort of kind of thought process, at least many females do, about don't want to get too big and bulky, don't want to have too much muscle mass. Again, it's going to take you years for you to get quote unquote too much muscle mass. And again, it's exactly the same. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be even slower for you. So you want to do things that are going to help you accelerate that process. So having creatine in your diet, in your nutrition plan, is going to be as advantageous for you as it is for a dude. So don't be frightened of it. Don't be frightened of it as, you know, it's going to make you big and bulky. It's really not. And it's just going to service as a means to help you perform better in the gym, push your body that little bit harder, create more opportunity for adaptation, and create more opportunity for you to create a perfect set of glutes or, shapely shoulders or whatever it is that you want within your physique. If your training program is set up to deliver that, creatine is going to help you in just a small way to push that a little bit further, to create more adaptation and to create the physique that you want. Now, there's also a couple of other benefits to creatine that you might not know about. One of them is that it has like cognitive benefits. So in terms of getting your mind fucking right and on it and focused, there is evidence and research to say that creatine helps with that. So there's also this add-on benefit that you can have, not just from a performance perspective, but this cognitive benefit as well. And if I've got any listeners out there over the age of 65, hopefully I have, then creatine is going to help you as well, because when you're into sort of, I'm going to say elderly, so there's going to be some 65-year-old plus guys and girls screaming at me saying, I'm not fucking elderly, Simon, how dare you? I apologize in advance, but technically from a definition point of view, that's kind of where elderly starts. So let's get that out of the way. But there is also some benefit there for stopping like sarcopenia, which is kind of like your muscles sort of weakening, getting smaller, all that sort of stuff. And again, cognitive benefits there. So whether you are over the age of 65 or maybe you've got parents, grandparents, whatever, maybe you should get them to supplement with creatine as well. So what's actually happening when you're taking creatine? So within the body, you've got this thing called ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. Now, this is basically, in a simple terms, is energy in the body. And what happens is that molecule, that ATP molecule, gets basically one phosphate molecule gets broken off of that. It becomes a diphosphate. You don't need to know all of this, but then that's what the body uses to fuel energy. Basically, it's the currency of energy. And then what happens then is that the body uses creatine to then basically turn that back into a triphosphate so that it can then be used again. So it's kind of this like cyclical process. Now you've got your natural stores of creatine which help with that process, but often the creatine you get from food and so on and so forth is very, very low. So therefore, if you can add some extra in via supplementation, you're basically boosting those stores and making that process a little bit quicker, a little bit better, and you're kind of saturating your muscles with creatine so that you can actually have this constant supply of creatine when you need it. So it kind of basically helps with that whole energy process. Now, you might then say, okay, well, what actually do I do with this? So what you need to do is get yourself creatine monohydrate. Don't fucking mess about with all the other weird and wonderful versions of creatine. The ones that are proven in studies to give the benefit is just basic creatine monohydrate. Now that's just a very basic powder, which is probably the cheapest version of creatine that you will see. So don't be like lured by, okay, well this one's fucking twice the price or 4 times the price, so that must be super, super good. It's fucking not. It's probably 4 times as worse. But anyway, so stick to basic creatine monohydrate powder. Now you want to go through a loading phase. So you need to load creatine into the body so you can basically saturate your muscle cells with creatine. Now you're going to do that over 5 to 7 days. 5 to 7 days of taking 20 grams per day. Split 5 grams 4 times a day. Easy maths. So that's going to saturate your muscles. You could do it over much longer by just taking 5 grams per day, but why would you kind of eke out this process to say, okay, I want this to take fucking longer? Why would you do that? Now, when you do this loading phase, expect some scale weight increase. So if you're in a fat loss phase right now and you're just then going to start adding creatine into your nutrition, into your diet, expect a water weight fluctuation up. And that's because creatine is going to draw water into the cells of your muscles, which is a good thing. It's not kind of under the skin water retention that might make you feel puffy and bloated. It's not the same as that. This is actually drawing water into the cells of the muscles, which is good. And don't worry about it, but it is going to mean that you're going to see an increase in your scale weight. So be prepared for that. And that's why it's good to do the loading phase over a shorter period of time so you can see that water weight fluctuation, and then you can get back into your weight loss and your fat loss phase where you are seeing improvements on the scale day after day, week after week, or whatever it is that you're doing. After you've loaded 5 to 7 days, you then switch into maintenance. And maintenance is basically 5 grams per day whether you are training or whether you are resting, just constantly, every day, 5 grams per day, keeping those creatine stores topped up. Now, there is kind of an ideal time to take it, but the difference is like super marginal. The most important thing is actually getting creatine in on a daily basis. So you're 5 grams per day. Now, the most optimal way to do it would be post-workout, probably with a bit of carbohydrate as well. But like I said, it's so minuscule, that sort of variation, that just getting it is going to give you pretty much all of the benefit. But if it suits your lifestyle, suits your schedule to have it post-workout with a bit of carbohydrate, that would be optimum. But don't feel like you're missing out on a super amount of gains by not doing it that way. Now, the reason why this podcast came about is from a follower question on Instagram. The person asked me, do I need to cycle creatine like other guys in the gym? Now, the answer to that is absolutely not. You do not need to cycle creatine in any way, shape, or form. You can take it year round, year after year, day after day. You can stay in that maintenance phase for as long as you feel like you want to, as long as you feel like you need to. And even when you go into a fat loss phase, you don't really need to cut it out at all. Again, it's just not going to make any difference to fat loss. So I would always keep it in my diet. I would always keep it in my plan. You know, if I was maybe going on holiday or something like that, and I couldn't be asked to take creatine with me on holiday, then maybe I just wouldn't bother taking it, and then I'd get straight back on it when I came back. Now, it takes about a month of just not taking it for you to deplete yourself of the benefits that you are having from supplementation. So if you're a month without, then you probably go back into a loading phase. If you're less than a month, I would probably just skip straight back into a maintenance phase. But don't feel like you have to cycle it in order to get benefits. It's not like this thing where your body gets used to it and then you stop seeing the benefits and so on and so on and so on. It really is not really anything you should worry about. Now, there are people that are creatine non-responders, and that just basically means creatine does nothing for them, does fuck all. Now, that type of person is very few and far between, but you may be one of those people who don't actually see any benefit from it. So that could be a thing. If that's you, then you just stop taking it, save your money, pocket it, and go buy some fucking donuts or some shit. But anyway, so that's what I think all you need to know about creatine. That's it. It's a supplement you should take, male, female, fat loss, muscle gain, whatever it is. Take it year round, load it up, maintain, and then you will be fine. So let me run through a quick summary for you. So this is all you need to know about creatine. So creatine is beneficial for you. It's one of the most tested supplements in all of the health and fitness industry. You definitely want to take it if you are trying to build muscle. And even if you're in a fat loss phase, it's still going to help you maintain strength, maintain power, and potentially help you to make some gains in a calorie deficit, because we all know that is possible too. Now, you want to load it. So that's 5 grams over 4 different servings each day for 5 to 7 days. Then you want to switch to maintenance, which is 5 grams per day. Thereafter, don't need to cycle, just keep taking it. Rest days, training days, whatever you like. Post-workout, ideally, maybe with a bit of carbs, just if you want to be super optimal. Maybe you're completely anal about this whole thing, but don't feel like you're missing out if you don't do it that way. But that's all you need to know about creatine. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, come visit me on Instagram at iron_paradise_fitness. Tell me you enjoyed the show. Maybe tell me what was the biggest takeaway that you had from this particular episode of the show. I'm always eager to know how what I'm saying has maybe influenced your training, influenced your nutrition. And if you want more information about Iron Paradise Fitness, then go to ironparadisefitness.com. I will put a link in the show notes so that you can find out more about what I do with online coaching, and you can find out more about building muscle, more about fat loss through articles all over the site. And to top it all off, you can get some free guides that will help you to lose weight by learning how to calculate your calories, free recipe packs. There's a free training program on there. So go to ironparadisefitness.com and check that out. But for now, all I'm going to say is keep living the lean life, and I'll see you for the next episode of the show.